Welcome to Retail Transportation. This course will introduce you to the world of transportation, its nature, scope, and process. The objectives of the course are as follows. You will examine and discuss the various modes of transportation to include ground, air, and intermodal. You will explore international logistics and its role within the retail industry, as well as ocean transport, ports, security, policies, and issues. You will identify and assess various issues, problems, and regulations associated with import and export trade in the retail industry. You will discuss warehousing and inventory management to include warehousing decisions and operations, as well as inventory control and planning management strategies associated with the retail industry. You will identify and discuss advances in technologies currently available to the retail industry and the impact technology has on transportation and logistics. You will discuss outsourcing processes and management strategies for carrier selection. You will also examine and explore various strategies and tactics in negotiating contracts, bids, and pricing with customers, carriers, and shippers. Lastly, you will put this all together by exploring and examining best practices, trends, and issues within retail transportation. You may be wondering, what exactly is retail transportation? Well, if you search the internet for this term, you'll have a hard time finding it, except for those websites selling their transportation services to potential customers within the retail industry. What is retail? Retail is the selling or exchange of products or merchandise between a buyer and seller at a fixed location. For example, your local Walmart store, your grocery store, your favorite clothing store, stores of that nature. So what is transportation? Transportation is the movement of goods, products, or materials from a given point of origin to a destination point. So what is retail transportation? Retail transportation is the movement of goods, products, or materials from a point of origin to a destination point for the purpose of supplying the marketplace with these goods, products, or materials for consumer use. Now that we have defined retail transportation, let's look at some of the domestic transportation modes available to the retail industry. What is domestic transportation? Well, domestic transportation is the movement of goods or products within the 48 contiguous United States. Therefore, domestic transportation consists of three modes: ground, air, and intermodal. All three modes are vital to retail companies to get their product to market on time, every time, with speed and ease. So let's look at these a little bit further. Ground transportation is considered to be all shipments moved over the road. All of us at some point or another have seen these big rigs driving down the road, haven't we? Well, ground transportation has two distinct types of movement, which is full truckload and less than truckload shipments. Full truckload shipments are those shipments in excess of roughly 36,000 pounds and usually do not make additional stops between the pickup and delivery like the partial or less than truckload shipments. Two primary benefits of truckload shipments are cost and time. A retailer will save on transportation costs and savings by moving more volume, filling a truck to maximize capacity than that of an LTL load. Likewise, a retailer will save time because the carrier will not be stopping at various drop-off points for smaller loads or to reconsolidate the load. So that brings us to less than truckload or LTL shipments. As I mentioned, LTL are shipments that do not fill the truck to full capacity and may be consolidated of various types of shipments with different shippers. Therefore, oftentimes it takes an LTL carrier more time, money, and effort to get a smaller load to the retail location versus that of a full truckload shipment. Among LTL carriers are the long-haul and short-haul carriers. Long-haul carriers will move freight anywhere within the United States, while short-haul carriers normally choose a specific geographic area and move freight and product within these shorter distances from point A to point B. Another term that fits within these short-haul movements is milk run deliveries and direct deliveries. A milk run delivery is scheduling several deliveries to multiple retail customers, but the product originates from one central location. An example of a milk run delivery would be an auto parts manufacturer distributing parts to its retail customers within a specific region, state, or city. The truck will load all of the local orders on the truck and will be delivered to the manufacturer's retail customers within the given geographic area. These are small quantities that are delivered throughout the day, much like the milkman that delivered milk to customers on specific delivery days and times. Direct deliveries differ from milk run deliveries in that these loads are moved from the manufacturer or point of pickup to one delivery or destination point. No additional stops are made in direct deliveries. That brings us to the main types of documentation needed for ground transportation. These types of documentation include bill of lading, carrier freight bill, and delivery receipt. The bill of lading contains all of the information regarding the load or shipment. For example, the shipper, the consignee, the weight of the load, the type of product, and the different payment options that may be available for this specific load. The three primary purposes of the bill of lading are to issue a title of goods, a contract of carriage, and a receipt for the shipper for goods received for transport. Next is a carrier freight bill. This is a standard document for the carrier to receive payment for transporting the shipment. Last is the delivery receipt. This is a document that the carrier uses as proof of delivery. The consignee signs the receipt as evidence that the carrier delivered the shipment. Most companies paying for carrier and transportation services will not pay the carrier without this documentation. Air transportation is another mode within domestic transportation. This mode of transport is used for critical shipments that need quick delivery, but it can be very costly. Some of the better known air transporters are companies such as FedEx and UPS. Air transportation provides freight forwarders with additional cargo and space, which oftentimes reduces the shipping costs for customers requiring more space and that buy in bulk quantities. Again, most of us know and use FedEx and UPS, but for retailers needing a product shipped quickly and in large quantities, air transportation is the mode to use. The main document used for air transportation is the air waybill. This is comparable to the bill of lading we discussed earlier. The air waybill contains at least the shipper's information, consignee information, the gross weight of the shipment, the delivery time, and the party responsible for paying for the freight charges. Now that we understand a little bit more about ground and air transportation, let's look at intermodal. Intermodal transportation includes shipments moving by container via water, by train, or by truck. Intermodal transportation uses various modes of transportation in a combined effort to get bulk quantities to the end user. These types of shipments can contain any kind of product from automobiles to large quantities of socks. Containers come in all shapes and sizes and is dependent on the type and size of product being transported. Using intermodal transportation means the product will be loaded and unloaded several times before it is delivered to the destination point. The product or container may be unloaded from the ship or vessel to a truck or train. In the end, the product is loaded and unloaded several times before arriving at its destination. This can be advantageous from a cost perspective, but not necessarily from a damaged goods perspective. It is important that retail companies do their due diligence in understanding the process for loss and damage claims as a way to protect themselves from these types of losses during transport. Lastly, it is important to know who is responsible for the freight cost. Is the shipment going to be paid by the consignee or the shipper? If the consignee is paying for the freight charges, this is called collect. If the shipper pays for the freight charges, it is referred to as prepaid. If you completely trust your customer, you can always use cash on delivery or COD. This means your shipment will be delivered and the carrier will assume responsibility for collecting the fee before the shipment is offloaded to the customer. In conclusion, the presentation has given you a brief glimpse of domestic transportation to include ground, air, and intermodal. These modes will be addressed throughout the course as we begin to dig deeper into the world of logistics and transportation within the retail industry.